President Trump revealing the framework of his proposed tax plan last month, which led many to wonder, how's that going to impact real estate, the value of my home? According to brand new research from Trulia, the proposed changes are not expected to hit the housing market in a negative way. Mitch Roschelle is here, thankfully, to tell us why.
I totally agree with Trulia. It's not going to impact the housing market. Why not? Well, first of all, the standard deduction doubles, right? So, and what everybody forgets about the housing market is the median house value in this country is about $250,000. So if you buy that house, borrow $200,000 and have about $10,000 in mortgage interest, it's still going to be the deduction that you'll get. Sorry to be the wonky account.
No, please be wonky.
You need to explain it.
All right, but the deduction is going to be twice as big, which means you're going to have less after tax. So even though there's no direct tax benefit because you can't deduct the mortgage because it's less, the fact of the matter is you're going to have a greater deduction anyway.
So money is money.
Money is money.
But this seems to me like it's going to affect people who are a little bit older, who maybe bought a home 35 years ago on a 30-year fixed rate loan, who have paid off their mortgages, but now you can't deduct. You're not going to be able to deduct local taxes or state taxes. So and that includes property taxes.
Right.
So those property taxes keep going up each year to the point where people are going to have to pay more than ever, and it's going to affect these older people who have paid off their mortgage.
Right, but my argument is that if you look at sort of median dollars across the country, including median income for retired folks, the doubling of that standard deduction gets them a lower taxable income at the end.
It's a bigger tax deduction for them.
Do you think that's going to offset it enough to make it fair?
I think it's going to offset it. I think what happens is journalists who are looking at it live in high tax areas, and they sort of do the math themselves, and they forget about the rest of the country. I'm serious. But
I try not to do math in public.
Yeah. Well,
private.
I'm an accountant and I cheat. But
well, you're a pilot. I'm sure you're all right.
Yeah, I think we know how to do math. But the fact of the matter is, if your property taxes are about $5,000, across the country, as opposed to $50,000 that it may be in the New York metropolitan area, that deduction is still greater, and it's going to. And it also. Medical is going to be carved out, and charitable is going to be carved out. So the thing that's going to be swept up into it is going to be the home mortgage deduction.
I hope you're right, because interest rates are rising as well. We've seen new home starts pull back as of late, a little bit last week. So, hopefully this won't be the straw that breaks the camel's back in the housing market with a mortgage tax deduction lifted and interest rates rising.
And I've talked about it before on the show. The fact of the matter is we're forming new households, and formed households when children move out of their parents' house at a greater rate than we're adding to supply. So we have tremendous pent-up demand for housing.
Well, in the first quarter, the home sales jumped at the fastest pace in 10 years. We had a huge increase in the value of the median price of a home in this country. And it was in part because of millennials finally moving out of apartments even.
And millennials, the oldest millennials are in their mid-30s and starting to start families. And those who lived in the cities realize that the quality of public education may not be what they want it to be in the cities. So what are they doing? They're doing it with their parents. They're doing it for the suburbs.
And the bigger picture, I'm curious, though, if they get rid of the state and local tax deduction and try to raise revenue in this tax reform package, what that does to some of the local housing markets. Connecticut, the most expensive area.
It will potentially, because in those markets,
Connecticut, New York, New Jersey.
California, where there's a lot of stretching that goes on, the people who are stretched do look at the net after-tax benefit of buying versus renting. So in those markets, it's going to potentially make a difference. Although, we'll see if income taxes get treated differently than property taxes, because there is some talk in committees about separating income taxes from property taxes.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Oh, summer selling season, what do you expect?
As I said before, there's way more demand than there is supply, and people are stretching like crazy. So my tip for all you first-time home buyers is be careful when you're stretching.
You told me you're kicking your kids out on the break. Your 17-year-old.
I'm kicking my kids out of the house, who are probably watching right now because they've got to get to school.
Yeah, they're a little too young to be moving out.
Get to school, kids. Yeah.